All right. Well, um, I'm doing another. I'm speaking, and this I'm speaking is going to be, as it appears, alone by myself. But hopefully, you'll see that I'm committed to the notion of doing this weekly live stream. The reason why I am speaking alone this particular week is because my scheduled guest, Cargo Van King, otherwise known as Jen Wealth, he actually goes by the name of Sterling. He informed me early this morning that will he would not be able to participate due to work obligations. And as I replied to him, I said, "Hey, I'm not going to stand in the way of somebody earning their money." So what I did was I um what I did was um put together what I feel is going to be my live stream for today. And while I don't see anybody yet in the um, chat room. You are welcome to join in on the chat room, join the damn conversation. In fact, I may call it a live stream. SB, how you doing, man? Um, as I just mentioned, it looks like um, my guest, Cargo Van King, will not be here. So therefore, I'm doing it alone. But a little bit of backstory about him, as I mentioned um, in a recent Gig Geezer upload, in that I met him in October or November 2022, and this was in the parking lot of a Walmart. I was doing a roadie, and apparently he was doing a Walmart Spark, and we got to talking. I noticed that he had a cargo van. His cargo van was a Dodge Ram Pullmaster City, which is the smaller one. And the Ford equivalent is the Ford Transit Connect, and the Nissan equivalent is a NV200. In fact, I'm going to throw out there, anybody who's interested, they can just copy that link. Hey Grady, 54 just got laid off your tech job. Did you go into gig work? Tired of working for others? Grady, I'm going to be talking about that, or at least I'm going to try to get around to that. I've got planned to talk about that. But let me do this. Let me finish up on what I was mentioning about the my guest. So anyway, we talked. I noticed he had a Sprinter van, and that kind of that kind of triggered a thought there. And weeks later, I went to Bank of America, applied for a business credit card, also looked into a business loan for the van, and the rest is earnings history. So Grady, I'm going to answer your question, but I guess I'll do it backwards then in terms of how I want to do things though. But to answer your question, 54 years old, I remember when I turned 54, man. That was a few years back into the rear view mirror. But you just got laid off your tech job, man. I know what it's like to been laid off too. Um, I'm gonna say this. This is just from my experience. Take First of all, take assessment of your what you feel that you've got to offer. Do that first. Take assessment of what you have to offer. Right here, Rick. Hey man, thanks for coming through here. I'm glad that you came through here. But to answer the question, take stock of what you have to offer. Should you go into gig work? There's a lot of gig work opportunities out there, but the question is the current economic and political climate out there, is it going to be conducive? That's what I'm concerned about. Um, I mean, but when you're not working, you want to earn money. And so I understand that you're going to go to where you feel the money is, where you think the money is. Just have realistic expectations. Um, have realistic expectations. Y'all see that link there? The link. What you can do is, if you want, you can join the damn conversation that way. You won't be on a, you may not be on camera, but you will be heard. Your voice will be heard, and we can go at it that way. I've got my earphones around me just in case. Rick, you mentioned about doing business to business on the OTR work. Um, are you when it what you're really concerned about is not losing money until what you're really concerned about is not losing money until you retire. Yeah, so you want to keep money coming in. I guess I need to think of it in your terms. The main thing is that you want to keep money coming in. I get that, man. It's just that I, hey Craig, how you doing? Um I'm going to throw that link in there, so if you want to join the conversation, you can, because my guest Cargo Van King is not going to be the guest tonight. Um, if you hear the hesitance in my voice, is because a week like I've had this week, I'm concerned about those people who would have week like I've had. Now it appears that if I were to tell you how much I earned so far this week, you'd say, "Dang man, I still love to earn what I've earned." But it's it's what you have to go through to get there, and so that's why I'm being very cautious with what I'm saying, man. In that, um, do this. Try to get on, if you can, some gig apps, be it gig food delivery or last mile. See how you like it before you fully commit to it. But I understand that you still want to earn some money in the meantime. And when it's like that, you know, oh, Grady, all right, we're gonna do it like this. Um, let's see here. Grady, I'm gonna bring you on and we can kind of talk about it. Well, you're your pajamas, so it's about bedtime. I get it. Grady, man, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
All right. No, hey, thanks for taking up on the link, man. Like I said, I turned 54 a few years back. That's a few years back in my rearview mirror. But um, what have you actually participated in the gig economy so at any time?
No, I haven't. Um, like I said, just laid off from a tech job where I
Mm-hmm.
was making, decent money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm fortunate enough to have investments and savings,
Okay.
where I don't have to work for a decade or so.
Right.
But, um, at our age, we're starting to look towards retirement. And
Yeah.
so I just don't want to lose money
Mm-hmm. Right.
and maintain. I mean, man, I can, you know, I bought my house for. I'm down here in Florida,
Okay.
and I had a good deal on my house.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What part of
my
Florida? I lived in Plantation many decades ago.
Tampa area,
Okay, the other side of the state. Okay, I got you.
yeah. But anyway,
Hmm.
I'm just tired of making other people money and kind of being
Right.
at their beck
Hmm.
and call. Right? I was just
Hmm.
laid off just because they just decided, hey, we're just going to do layoffs,
We don't need
and
you. We're gonna cut money. We're gonna cut money,
that's
right?
okay. They don't care. There is no loyalty there.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm looking at my opportunity. What do I do? What do I do?
Right. Yeah, and
And
that's what I meant by taking an assessment of what do you feel that you've got to offer. The first time
right,
I experienced being laid off was back in 1992 as a newspaper reporter. Completely different circumstances, but I had to kind of take assessment of what I had to offer in an interim while looking for trying to get back into the newspaper business. And um, well, it took me almost a year to find work again. Of course, that was over 30 years ago. But then when I left the newspaper business for good in the year 2000, I left, and I still had to kind of take assessment of what I had to offer. And eventually I started working at a car lot. And then eventually I got my first licensing as an insurance agent. But since then, I have always been doing this assessment of what do I think I have to offer when things get kind of funny. What else can I do? So,
Yeah.
um, but again, with your tech expertise, you did what type of tech work did you do? I was once a computer science major, and that was like a big deal at one time.
Okay. I'm a software engineer.
Okay. How about apps? Can you create apps?
I can, but if you're gonna these days, if you're gonna create an app, you need a team. You
Mhm.
know, you need a team, and you need a lot of upfront money,
Mhm.
and you have to have a good idea. There is a lot in place there,
Mhm.
and I'm not willing to take those risks.
Right.
Because
Okay.
most of them don't produce income.
Okay. So everybody wants something for nothing. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They
Well,
don't want to pay for it.
my experience is people come to you with these ideas, and
Right.
then they want like half,
Mhm.
and
Right.
they just think there's no work that's really involved, in bringing
Mhm.
that to fruition. And in reality, there's a lot of man hours involved in bringing it to fruition. It's
Mhm.
not. People don't understand what goes into creating an app,
Right.
um, and much less a successful, profitable app. You know,
Mhm. Right.
and how rare those are.
Mhm.
But I've been following you for a while. I've been watching your
Thanks,
videos,
man.
watching
Thanks.
you, going into the cargo van
Mhm.
stuff and this and that. And I'm like, man, I can do that. I can do
Okay.
deliveries. I've got a hybrid vehicle. You know,
Right.
um,
Mhm.
it's just the things I've been thinking about lately. Just like, what? I'm tired of making money, and I realize, still you're going to be making money for somebody else.
But it's still
That's
your money. It's still your money, though.
it. Well, and it's on my terms.
Right.
Is the thing.
Right.
It's on my hours. It's on my. If I want to work that day, I'll work that day. If I don't,
Mhm.
I'm not.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
and
then look into the last mile gig delivery apps. Look into the courier type services.
right,
But I'm thinking of at this stage in life, you kind of, you don't want to feel like you're getting to run around with all that as well. But I mean, if I worked, but I mean, there's like the medical courier delivery services. I understand people have done well with that. I've not looked into it personally, but I
yeah,
understand some people done well with that. Then there again, there are the last mile gig delivery apps. You hear of the roadies, you hear of the freight, you hear of the dispatches and all. But I will say, though, that's as equals money. You've probably heard me say that at one point in your listening of the channel. Um, the question is, how far do you want to go into? If you just want to stay with your hybrid vehicle, then I would say then look into like the courier type opportunities, because then you're just doing something on your really 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 on your own terms. They'll call you if you're interested. If you're not, you move on.
now is there okay money to be made in those avenues?
Yeah, I mean, there's okay money to be made. Um, if your goal is just to yeah, I mean, if you're looking, I mean, realistic goal is anywhere between $500 and $1,000 a week. I mean, it just depends on how you're hooked up.
That'd be fine. My
Mhm.
mortgage is like 13 a month. It's nothing. And
Shit,
so
man, I would love to see my rent at 1,300 a month, but
yeah,
I still have a house in which my name is on it, and our mortgage. Well, the mortgage is like 800, but the house was bought in 1997.
oh wow, okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like we got somebody
Hey,
else.
if I can make 50K a year, I
Mm-hmm.
could absolutely survive off of that until I retire.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
could.
Right. I would again look into like the medical courier. That's a
Okay.
start. That's a start because definitely that's something for cars. Your hybrid vehicle, and just see where it takes you. Also, if the market allows, look into some of the last mile gig apps, like the ones that are more towards the cars would be um, Roadie, maybe Freight. I'll say that app, and then go from there. I'm gonna bring on another person here. It looks like it's gonna be the Geezer Hour so far, and that's Rideshare Rick. Rick, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hey, man, thanks for stopping through. You've come through many a times now. Like, we've got a kind of a mix. Got a good mixture. Rick is in California. Um, Grady's in Florida, and I'm in South Carolina. In fact, you're in the Valley, Rick? Is that true? You're in the Valley?
No,
What part?
I'm out of Orange County.
Orange County. Okay. I lived in California decades ago, and I actually considered I was that close to going to Cal State Fullerton. That's going back.
I did go there for a
ago.
semester back in 1979.
Okay, and that was about the time I was looking at going to Cal State Fullerton, man. It was 1980, in fact. And now I'm really telling on myself. But let's see. You're looking to get a Grady. I may not have answered all your questions though, man. But you know, hopefully I'll give you kind of an avenue to kind of look into.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Oh, yeah. I've been interested.
Go ahead, Grady. We're gonna go.
Grady.
We're gonna get to you. Yeah, Grady. I guess Rick had something to say.
I've heard about the medical courier, and I've thought about that. Are there like qualifications or licenses or anything needed for that that you're aware of?
It's just really a valid driver's license, having a working vehicle, pretty much proof of citizenship. I mean, really, that's
I've been
kind
driving.
of a medical courier. Go ahead, Rick.
I said I've been driving since 1984. I've done messenger, courier, route work. I've done Uber, Lyft, and gig work. But I was late to doing multi-apping in my market, which is Southern California, and I found it's very difficult to get into most of these apps now because of the oversaturation and all in my market.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone back to being a courier and a messenger now.
Okay.
And eventually, I would like to get into OTR, and eventually I want to look into getting a van to do OTR, specifically maybe a sprinter van or something like that. And I know there's lots of opportunity for that.
Right. Now, if you're willing to, when you talk about over the road, are you you're talking about, now there's a guy whose channel I've been checking out or following, in part because he's from Houston, but also just because of, I guess, his personality and how he's kind of been inviting of people to follow his journey over the past year. He is doing over the road where he's out days at a time. He's not out weeks at a time, but he's out days at a time. And with over the road, if you're looking to go at it that way, you willing to be out days at a time?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay.
I don't have any real ties to this area. I'm only working this area to get me enough money to eventually get into that. And I can live on the road, no problem.
Okay. Well, then, hey, there you go, man. I mean, miles is your when it comes to over the road, miles is your money. So, rule of thumb, the what a lot of over the road people tend to go for $1 a mile. Of course, you can do better than that. That's what I believe. I know that you can though, but if you can think $1 a mile, if you do 2,000 miles in a week, which is highly conceivable, you can pretty much kind of calculate on earning somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,000 miles in a $2,000 in a week.
I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but there's a gentleman who does Eagle Express, and he's
Mm-hmm.
an OTR. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
YouTube.
I've seen it. I've seen this channel. Yeah, a number of times. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
yeah, I've been following him for about a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And another guy out of I think it's out of the Houston area, but I'm not
Yeah,
really sure. It's
Dave.
CJ.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if
CJ. Yeah,
are
yeah,
you familiar with
um,
him? Yeah,
yeah.
I've been
CJ.
following him.
He was on my show a couple weeks ago, or last
Was
month, I
he?
should say.
I
Yeah,
missed it.
yeah. Check out the archive. It's on the art. If you go to the Geezer channel in the archive under live, CJ and I talked it up for an hour. That's right. So, tap line. Hey, you've been over
But
the road for 2 weeks at a time, and with a wild on. Whoops.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Patrice, she talking about how Freight did her dirty today. Tap line said he's all over the road. Um. Oh, here it is. 2 weeks at a time, but it's hard. But he loves it. Yeah, it can be because of all the driving. Um. Grady, any other question?
No, no. I appreciate your input on
Hey,
the
man.
medical.
Yeah,
I would,
yeah, definitely.
Brady, I would suggest finding all the apps that you can and try and start just applying like Curry. Go into if you're willing to go into Uber and Lyft. There you can make good money with them. They just have very stringent rules when it comes to people reporting you. That's why I'm not with Lyft anymore. And my background check 2 years ago failed with Uber, and they won't update it. So I'm no longer interested in doing that. But I was doing Lyft, and when I was doing Uber, I was making $1,000 a week easy. Even uh, even 6 months ago when I was doing it. So there's money to be made out there. You just have
Yeah,
to find the right app that would fit you.
right. I'd agree with Rick on that. I would agree. Yeah, that's why maybe the medical, because if you like your autonomy, definitely gonna have your autonomy just delivering medical whatever.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be whenever you want to do it. Um the only thing is, you'll know if it kind of feels like it's a job situation when they kind of start trying to pressing you or cornering you to do something. Then you can pump the brakes or decide you're going to go a completely different direction.
Cool, man. Like I said, I appreciate your input. I appreciate everything you do, man. I
Hey,
wish
man,
you the best.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Well, let's see, Rick. This
I'm on
is
delivery
cool.
right now, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Oh,
Rick, what
by
I'm
the
gonna
way,
yeah. Go ahead.
since you know Southern California a little bit, I'm on my way to Ontario to pick up to go to Fountain Valley.
Wow.
It's
Oh man,
I think,
Ontario. I remember Ontario was with the old racetrack, but that's a long time ago. I remember that.
oh yeah,
I have a
oh yeah,
I have a high school classmate who lives in Palm Springs. Last time I spoke with
oh,
him, he lived in Palm Springs. He's where all the other old folk are. And,
all the other
yeah,
affluent old folk. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I don't know if he's in that category, but he's in Palm Springs, and I remember he was doing rideshare at one time as well. Yeah.
it's decent out there. I've done it out there,
Mm-hmm.
and if you get in on like Coachella
Mm-hmm.
and Stagecoach, those 3 weekends, you can make some really good money. especially if
Mhm.
you're a private uh, person, doing
Right.
private rides and stuff. You make
Mhm.
really good
Oh
money.
yeah, yeah. Now, Mike Drop Barbecue is a big advocate of rideshare drivers doing the private stuff. You know, if the state allows for it. He's in Phoenix, and so he got his livery permit, and he's been advocating for drivers to do the private rides. Yeah. In fact,
Yes,
he's building up a pretty good client base. But yeah, but that's Mike Drop Barbecue. He's been on. He's also been on.
yes, I'm
He's also been
familiar
on
with
here
his
as
name.
well.
His
He
name's
was on here
Jeff,
in
isn't
December.
it?
I'm sorry.
Isn't his name Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff. Right, Jeff Watts.
Yeah.
Well, Rick, hey man, thanks for coming through here. I'm gonna answer a couple of questions here. Yeah, but again, it's good to talk with you, man. I know again you've come through
Okay.
a few times, but again, thanks for coming through here tonight.
Yeah, I really am interested in what your mentor has to say about getting into this, but when he can when he can get back on the program.
Right. All right, man. Oh well, he wasn't not a mentor. He just was somebody that I met, and I joked with him that I was his star pupil because I because of the conversation that we had, I ended up getting a van and all. But he's a young guy with a lot of insight, and this old dog had, I guess you'd say, learned a pretty good trick that's kind of changed the course of history for me at this juncture.
Yeah, like I just learned last week from you about the MC number,
Uh huh.
and I eventually, if I go OTR, I
Hmm.
eventually want to be able to uh, learn how to use the boards, like Steve is talking about, Rideshare Rodeo, use the boards to find loads and stuff like that.
Right, right. You're talking about with the load boards and dealing with the brokers, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
yeah, it's not as daunting as it sounds. It's just that you got to be willing to tell. If they tell you a number, you got to be willing to tell them another number, and hope. And there's a chance that both you and the broker are going to agree upon a number. That's kind of how it
Yeah,
works. Um, you know, it's I wish folk would not. The only thing I wish though is that people would try to get more money, because if one person is taking it for a very low number, and then another person takes it for another low number, but then you come in with the other number, guess who they're going to listen to more so than me. So
well, as Steve always says, the ceiling meets the floor.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey man, I'm gonna try to answer some other questions here, but
Okay,
I'll look for you
go
again.
right
I'll
ahead.
look for you again on another live stream. All right, man.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Let's see, Costas Gianolius. Hopefully you can hear me better. I was talking to the sound. The sound is fine. It's just that sometimes it is different on the microphone. Oh, no, man. I can't do anything else with the microphone, but I am talking into it, and maybe it's a matter of your audio source though. But anyway, um, Pam Patrice had asked how long were those Uber shifts? Well, with Uber, at least in South Carolina, because Patrice, if memory serves me correct, you are in South Carolina. You just are on the app for as long as you want to be on. Same thing with Lyft. It's not like DoorDash where you have the shifts, time slots well, with DoorDash you can manipulate the time slots how you want to. It's Grubhub where you have time slot shifts, but Uber and Lyft are pretty much when you turn on the app, then you're out there until you no longer want to be out there. You mentioned also about Freight did you dirty today with a wild offer. The math just wasn't mathing at all. SB, thank you, man. There you go. The math just wasn't mathing. Ooh. You may want to hey, give me Patrice if you can. I'm gonna throw the link to the live stream. Okay. I'm gonna throw the link out there so anybody wants to join the damn conversation this way, you can. You heard me speak with Grady and Rideshare Rick. I wish you'd give me a little more insight, and then I could. All right, let's see here. Yeah, if you give me a little more insight, Patrice, maybe I have more to say about that. You asked, curious on my thoughts on vehicles for gig driving. Recently shifted thought process to stepping up to gradually to a sprinter. Jumping into the pool. Patrice, I'm going to give you somewhat of a long answer, but it's going to be a short answer. When I started in the gig economy, back in 2016, I started with a 2009 Ford Taurus. From there, I guess you may say I moved up to a 2011 Maxima. That was the other vehicle that we had. Then, Bambi ran into Bambi ran into both the Maxima and Taurus. And after Bambi ran into the Maxima, I moved up to a Nissan Pathfinder, 2018 Pathfinder. The Pathfinder turned out to be the first lemon I ever bought, and I traded it in a year later for my F-150 that you have probably seen me do videos in. And in 2022, I added the Sprinter/cargo van. So, hopefully, I'm answering your question in that. Hopefully, I'm answering your question. Yes. Is it a company that I drive for via an app? How is Hipix Logistics? I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about Hipix Logistics in that I once inquired about them, but that's as far as I can go. I don't know anything else about Hipix Logistics. Let's see here. We got Patrice. Patrice.
Hey, boss. How's it going, man?
All right. You're in Columbia, right?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm on the northeast side.
Yeah. I actually just moved. I'm in Blythewood, actually.
Okay, you're on the other side of Clemson Road. Okay. Yeah. Somewhere's in there. Am I Sand Hills? We can agree on Sand Hills, Clemson Road, that in that area, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I just moved out here. I actually moved out here from New York.
Okay.
But been out in here for about 3 years now.
Okay.
And really just started this, this gig app and kind of pursuit in the last year or so. But as far as freight, so freight today was just wild, man. They sent me a text and they were like, hey, there's a pickup. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember where it was from. The pickup. Once again, I'm in Blythewood. So right. I thought it was going like southeast, right? So it was going down to Charleston.
Okay.
Ultimately, and it was 170 miles for $170. Right.
Okay, 170 miles. Ooh, from Blythewood.
Right, exactly. So,
I guess that's the vicinity of Charleston, but that sounds more like Beaufort or Bluffton, something like that. From that type of distance, from Blythewood to Charleston. Well, maybe it could be. It depends on what part. It could be like Isle of Palm. So yeah, you could end up doing 170, but it was just 170 miles for $170, right?
Right, exactly. And I know that some people might immediately jump on that, right?
Oh yeah, they will.
Yeah.
You'd have to.
And in my head, I'm thinking that doesn't make sense, because you got to drive there, then do the and there was a you know, I think it was a 3-pound package, you know, so it was
Ooh,
whatever,
okay.
you know. So, but I had to, you know, you have to drive to the pickup, do
Mm-hmm.
the 170,
Mm-hmm.
drive the 170 back, drive
Right.
back, you know.
Right. And you may
So
not pick up anything in the Charleston
and
area,
you
although
don't
it is
pick up anything
possible.
on the way back, exactly. So I was like, man, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand, you know. I don't look for some people that's their day, you know, they're thinking about it like, oh, you know, $200 a day. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But what, you know, when you're really doing the math, and I, you know, and I listen to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I follow you, I follow CJ, I follow Cars and Chris, you know, all of
Mm-hmm.
that, right? So, you know, I know there's the talk is always around miles per, you know, the math
Right.
has to make sense,
Right.
and yeah, that just didn't do it for me, and you know, and somebody scooped it up like immediately after, you know, somebody scooped
Mm-hmm.
it up immediately,
Oh, of
so
course, of course. Yeah, they saw $170, and you know they may be pimping their walk and grabbing their Johnson. Yeah, man, I made $170. Okay,
right,
hey, you know,
right,
fine.
right,
But
but
if you do
us,
this stuff, if you do it like I do, that's a bad run.
yeah,
That's a bad run.
it
Now,
was a horrible run.
now, are you slotted for just car SUV on freight?
Um, yeah, actually, sedan, right? Yeah, car.
Okay,
Um,
so that's another reason why it was slotted for that type of pricing. That's not to say it would be even better for a sprinter van. That's not to say it would be better for a pickup truck or that. But um, SB, you here's what SB has to say. Wouldn't have taken it either. Yeah, sometimes you have to. Now, this is something that a fast friend of mine and I we talk almost on a daily basis. And one thing that he told me, and I agree, was that sometimes you have to be willing to lose.
mm,
In other words, when you see something like that, tap line, here's what he feels: 170 is not enough. Sometimes you have to be willing to lose, and you know, there's no shame if you pass on something like that. None whatsoever. None.
yeah,
None.
that, you know, I wasn't, you know, I didn't feel bad about not taking it. Really,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it just, yeah, it really just didn't make immediate sense. But I know, you know, and it goes with all these apps, right? You know, people are
Mm-hmm.
jumping on DoorDash, you know, taking $4 for 13 miles, and
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy.
I shared my my mistake from 2019. Red almost wanted to get off the live stream for that though, but um I was in Lexington County because I was still new on the app. I'm calling
Yeah.
myself being a good DoorDash driver, you know,
Yep.
and because of the way the incentives were, it was an you know, the way it is now. I forget the term though, but back then you had these incentives that would come out, like in 3 hour blocks, and so you had to accept and complete 80% of them within that time in order to get the extra dollar or
Sure.
$2 on top of your order. So I'm like, okay, and I was also thinking that, you know, in order to do things right with DoorDash, everything's got to be in the green, meaning that I have to, you know, keep 100% acceptance rate, 100% completion rate. So I accepted this order in Lexington County. In Lexington,
Sure.
it was going over in East Richland County, off of Garner's Ferry Road, 20 miles
Goodness
for
gracious.
$3.50.
Yeah, I would be mad at you too.
And
I'd be mad at you too, bro.
I famously contacted, because this happened, like, well, I'm thinking like on rideshare. Sometimes you can talk, at least back then. Sometimes you could talk Lyft, particularly Lyft, into bumping a ride, depending on, you know, the circumstances.
Sure.
And DoorDash told me, "Oh, sorry, man, can't do anything with, you know, basically tough shit, man."
Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah,
I
those are the
learned
type
from there, man.
so bad at,
Yeah,
man.
that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So I never took anything like that again. So,
Sure.
as I say, you live and you learn, and that was definitely a lesson learned. that's kind of like what I was gonna. That leads into what I was gonna do on if this was gonna be a monologue tonight. I was gonna talk about my upload from yesterday, and that my upload from yesterday was where I talked about having turned down, just passed on 3 brokered load opportunities, and I described with one was an airport delivery. Now I had this all set up where I was going to really light into this commenter's ass. I was going to light into his ass because he just spoke stupid. But it was from Charlotte to Greenville. It was Charlotte Airport to Greenville.
Yeah,
the Greenville area, a drive down I-85. The distance was 110 miles, but with it being a pickup from the airport, I did not get into all the specifics. It was 1,350 pounds, 7 items pickup, and the offer amount was 200. I asked for 400. 110-mile drive, $400. For me, that is actually well within a number that I've often done for that distance. What I'm getting at, normally if I'm looking at 110 miles, I'm looking for $300 to $350 on a run like that. It's not out of the realm of possibility for me to get that type of money. But these people, they were offering 200, then he went up to 250. I still held at 400. Okay?
Right. And your math is like $3 to $4 a mile. Is this what's going on?
I'm really not thinking dollars per mile. This is just me now. I tend not to try to. Dollar per mile is one of the last things that I will factor into the occasion, into the equation.
Yeah.
I often say that I'm thinking about the dollar amount for the trip and for the work that's being done.
Gotcha.
That's just me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, I get it. I don't want to cut you off, but I'm actually a tattoo artist as well, so I get kind of like the concept of what you're saying. So, like when people come in, I can either charge them like an hourly rate, right, or I can charge them like a straight like rate, right, for what I think the value of my work is, right, and how much time I'm gonna have to put into it, and so on and so forth. So I kind of guess that's how you're looking at it. You're looking at the overall kind of picture, of the overall weight, the distance. You know, am I going to have to do any kind of manual labor, that kind of thing, and then
which is possible, which is highly possible. And so this guy is saying, so he came up, he's telling me, oh, well, it sounds like something you could have done an F-150 with. Number one, 1,350 pounds. Sure. It wouldn't be an F-150. No, not okay. Number two. His thinking was, okay, so you would have cleared $200 if you had put in $50 into the F-150. It'd probably take me 4 hours. Tell me how you're going to pass up on earning $50 an hour. Well, God damn it, I'm not thinking $50 an hour as a business person. When you're in business, you're looking at what you earn at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month. Yeah. You're not always thinking dollars per hour is not what you're thinking about. And even if I were to go with his argument, it is highly conceivable if I go to the airport. First of all, I'd be driving from Columbia to Charlotte, so that's an hour and a half.
Yeah,
it is conceivable that I could be waiting as many as 3 hours to be loaded.
Sure.
Then there's highly conceivable driving from Charlotte to Greenville. It could take 2 hours because of traffic along I-85. Then there's when you get to the drop off. So I'm already talking hour and a half, let's say an hour wait time in Charlotte. 2 hours is not out of the question. So we're talking 4.5 hours right there. Then there's no telling how long it's going to take to wait to be unloaded.
Right.
Let's say 30 minutes, best case, which is a reasonable number. So we're at 5 hours. And then drive back to Columbia. That's another hour and a half to 2 hours. Let's say an hour and a half, 6.5 hours into $200. You're talking $30 an hour now.
Oh, sure.
That's no different than a fucking W-2.
Right. Right.
Now, who's winning? Who's losing? This is some person with a W-2 mindset trying to tell someone who has hit 6 figures how to run a business.
Right.
You need to shut his fucking mouth up.
No, I agree, bro. I agree for sure. You know, yeah. I can't do it. You know,
Mhm. And
yeah,
I think you can see what I'm talking about. Depending
yeah,
on the design of the tattoo, how involved it is, you're going to take all that into consideration.
yeah. And I have a number in my head, and I just can't drop from that number. That's the thing. So
Mhm.
I get exactly what you're saying. You know.
Oh, come on, brother, man. Come on, brother, man. You can hook up. You know, hey, come
Yeah,
on, man. Hey.
the first thing I'll say is like, look, bro, we got six other artists. We got six artists in this shop. You know what I mean? You could shop around. You know?
Man, man, you don't want to look out for a brother now. I like him.
Yeah,
I want to support our business, man, but you know.
yeah. I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it as the song goes. You know, Yeah, believe me, I've heard all the stories, man. I've been tattooing for 15 years, so
Okay.
I've heard every story. You know, so I can't. Yeah, I just can't do it. At this point, you know, I think we're along the same lines where it's just about the value that you bring. You know, the time that you've put in. You know, you know you've had to put in you have to invest in yourself, and you have to invest money to get to where you are. And
Right.
you can't, you can't just hand out freebies at this point in the game.
Right. And
Um,
that's that's what I've been trying to advocate to folk. I mean, Mike Drop Barbecue, Jeff Watts talk about know your worth. And this is not about me trying to flaunt myself as, hey, because I've done these things. No, I've learned as I've gone. And I
right.
promise you, one of the worst feelings, and you know what it's like. I promise you, one of the worst feelings is when you do something and you know that you've shortchanged yourself or you got shortchanged.
Oh yeah. You feel hustled. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's the last time that, and then you be talking about how these people done fucked you over and all, but sometimes you fuck yourself. That's what it amounts to.
Right.
So it's like the DoorDash, 20 miles for $3.50. You try to minimize those type of experiences.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. DoorDash right now has been, and I don't know what it's called actually. Is there like a new feature on DoorDash where, for instance, I'm doing like I don't know when's the last time you did DoorDash yourself, but
I
where like,
completed an order last week, and it was for $15.75. That's the first one I've done this year since and the first since November.
yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
been a while then.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like, I guess it's the Dash Now, Dash Along the Way, whatever.
Oh, that's been around for years now.
Right. Well, no. But when you do it, when I did it today, and when I was doing it, for some
Mhm.
reason, and you can of course do dash by
Earn by time and by
by
order, right?
whatever.
Mhm.
I usually do by order, and
Mhm.
but it kept giving me like stacking my orders.
Mhm.
Is that something that's new? Like it would.
No, it's not new. I mean, what it's really been somewhat common with Uber Eats as well. That what they'll do is stack orders, and sometimes you see them. You'll see a stacked order 2 for $4, or something. Uber Eats, I've seen some even worse than that though. But yeah, that's their way of trying to maximizing delivery opportunities, and you have to just be able to sift through that.
You have to get.
When I was doing primarily gig food delivery work back 2022, my numbers were a minimum of $8 for an individual, $14 for stacked. Well, I've gotten away from that. I'm looking for on a individual order a minimum of $10 now, and then on a stacked, more than likely a minimum. I'll go down to 18, but I'm looking for something a minimum of $20 as well.
Yeah, I don't see those numbers at all, man. But that's the thing with DoorDash. I'm not even at 50 orders yet, so I got like
So
3 orders.
You're just new on the app, okay?
Yeah, I have 3 orders to get to 50. I was trying to knock it out today, actually, to get those 3 orders, but then I got a roadie, and I was like, let me just take this roadie because this DoorDash is
right.
it's a little too small right now.
Right.
But I'm not seeing. But I guess after when you get past a certain point, you can see those $12 and $18 orders. Yeah,
I don't know.
Because I've never seen one.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say I don't know about the threshold with 50 orders now. I really don't know. I know I'll say this much. Back in 2019, 2020, early 2020, the thing was you wanted to have a minimum driver rating once you reached the 100 order threshold. And when I started out on the DoorDash app, I famously speak of how my rating after 3 completed orders was 2.33. So I was concerned about meeting that 4.20 score rating once I got to 100 orders. It took me a long time before I got over 4.50 with my rating because I mean I'd get trashed. I just got trashed, man. And it was inexplicable. It's inexplicable how I was being trashed, man. It didn't matter what I did. I mean, I could have, paid for the fucking order, and I probably still would have gotten one star.
Right. I was gonna ask, man, were you throwing the food at the door?
No, I wasn't, man. I mean, I guess they just didn't like who they saw. Of course, but that was before I think there was a certain amount of public awareness of how drivers are being treated too. So it is what it is. JT, thanks for coming through here, asking what's up. Hey, I've been talking with y'all. So if you want to join in, got another about 7 or 8 minutes left. You want to join in on the damn conversation? Join in. Pat or Patrice, which one is it now?
Man, I go by both, man. But a lot of people call me Pat, so it's all good.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for coming through here.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, ever since I came across your YouTube page, man, I was like, oh, let's do this in South Carolina too. And
that's usually how it works, man. In fact, the fast friend that I often speak of, when we met for the first time 2 years ago, ironically in the parking lot of a Walmart. He came in from one direction, and I was coming in from another direction. I'm like, that's my competition. He came in the van and all. And then I parked, and he's like, get Geezer, man. I responded to one of your. We hit it off from there, man.
Yeah. I gotta start. I was saying earlier, man. I want to start my YouTube channel too this year. I want to start that for sure. And I had a quick question, man. Before you get off here, I was thinking about the cargo van, of course, and jumping into that next. Right now, I'm in a Kia Spectra, bro. I'm in a I'm in a 05 Kia Spectra, man. But
I told you I started with a 2009 Ford Taurus, 176,000 miles.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not. It's not like I've been George Jefferson, but I've worked my way up in vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I was gonna ask. Like, I guess because I was thinking now just to go like more towards like SUV. SUV or larger, just a larger vehicle in general. Like, would you recommend one in particular that you would use, maybe, or that's that's good on my.
I think that would be affordable and maybe accomplish what you're looking to do. I would look into a Ford Transit Connect. That's the small, the small cargo van. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that.
I don't think that you tell me now. From what I'm hearing, it's not like you're looking to do the heavy duty stuff.
No. Not at least, not at this point.
But it's going to give you some flexibility to earn some money. But also, if you get to connect with the seats and all, you can turn around and use that for ride share.
Yes. Yep. It's personal vehicle. Yep. Yeah, I thought about that too, actually. Yeah. But the only thing I was considering with that was that, of course, they discontinued the transit, so they're just not going to be making it anymore. So I was like concerned about like whether I'd be able to get it worked on properly, and
Oh yeah, it's a Ford. You'll be able to get as long as it's Ford, they'll have the parts and all. It's just that they're not making them. It's like I have a Taurus as well. I have a 2018 Taurus.
Yeah,
and that parts is just that they're not making them. Maybe if you're looking for a fender, you may not find it as fast as you would a few years back. But the Transit Connect, I think that would be a good option. I've run into a couple of viewers of the channel who had a Transit Connect.
Yeah.
And the guy that I'm thinking of, he's in Charlotte. He told me how, man, that was a game changer for him because, yeah, it was a game changer.
Yeah. That's definitely a vehicle I'm interested in. I've definitely been looking at that one for sure. And I think there was like the NV, the 2000.
That's a Nissan.
The Nissan, yeah. But I think the Connect is just, I don't want anything huge, bulky, or at least right now either, man. So yeah, I think the Connect might be the move.
Now there's another channel out there, Tony Ruiz. He's out of New York or New Jersey. He started with a Transit Connect.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I think he still has it though. And I mean, he since has added 2 other vans, but he started with a Connect.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about too. I think I was following him too. I think I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, he had he started a small business with it. He hips him and one other dude. Right, I think I know who you're talking about for sure. Yeah. All right. I appreciate it, man, for sure.
All right, man. Thanks for coming through here. Well, rideshare, better late than never. Yeah. Hey, man, you want to come in? You want to come in and say something? I'll do that. Rideshare Rodeo. That's Steve Johnson. My man. He's a fellow funkster. You join in if you want. You come in, jump in, and say what you want real quick, man. But yeah, thanks for coming through here. Let's see, tap line. I wanted to say this again. 2005 was and is a good year. It was a good year for me, but for reasons that I can't talk about. I'll just leave it at that. Now we are coming up on the hour. I always tell my guests who have appeared so far on I'm Speaking that what I try to do is make it a fast hour. And I will say that this week, y'all helped me make this a fast hour by joining the conversation, literally, as what Grady and Rideshare Rick and what Pat or Patrice did. I do have a guest lined up for next week, but I'm not gonna mention his name just yet. I'm waiting for a reply email from him. He's already kind of given me indication that he will be willing to participate next week. But if not, next week as well. So I'm going to... Okay, that was live stream. That wasn't me. But I'm going to go through the names. Tapped Line, Rideshare Rodeo, Steve Johnson, JT's come through here, SB's come through here, Costas Gianolius came through here. Let's see, Patrice I mentioned. Hey y'all, again, y'all have made this Cray Nay came through here. I'm gonna do this. Because what am I thinking about? Well, what I was gonna do was driving, but always funking supporting. You funking a right. You are funking a right, man, for your support. I was going to pull up one of my videos in which I talked about W2 and gig economy because I think it's really pertinent. It's really relevant. So I'm going to close with this being the last 5 minutes of the video, but that's what I'm going to close out on. And hopefully, hopefully I'll be seeing y'all next week. So just bear with me here. I'm going to pull up that video that I already had queued up. And this may answer some questions about folk who are looking to leave their W-2 and trying to get into the gig economy. If you're in a market like right now, and you have to tap into that money,
Eventually, you got to make some money to replace that, or you're going to be out. So the fact of the matter is that when you are in business, your goal is to be out there every day earning money. Your goal is to be earning money every day. And so what if the money isn't coming in? This is the reality. So I understand from having been a 1099 that there's a certain amount of security that you have with doing it. And maybe in today's market right now, it would not hurt to hold on to the 1099 and just gradually work your way out. But if you just have to just absolutely positively have to get away from the W-2, just be mindful of some of these things. Just be mindful of some of these things. These are the realities, because when you go out there, you know, I'm ready to make it happen. I'm ready to make it happen. And then you look at the apps, it ain't nothing coming up on your phone worth considering. And then if you make the decision to do some of those bad ones, and then you go through the experience of working those orders, and you realize this ain't happening, man. I mean, I'm paying them to do their stuff. What do you do then? What do you do then? And so there's no cookie cutter answer for things like this. There really isn't a cookie cutter answer. So that's why I'm speaking in somewhat of a paternal voice about this, in a paternal tone. When I went out on my own as an insurance agent in 2003, having been a captive agent in a situation where basically I did have like initially a salary plus commission pay structure, and then it went strictly commission, I knew then that I had to go on my own. But in 2003, there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok. No. In fact, with the cellular phones, there was no text messaging just yet. There were still beepers, okay? So that should tell you how it was just 20 years ago. And so if you wanted to learn something, you pretty much still had to go to the library and check out books. And even then, I didn't do that. I pretty much learned the hard way, being out here. And it took me almost 2 years to build up a certain amount of as earned income to sustain me. Now, in my situation 20 years ago, I was also married, and I had my ex at the time earned.
Saving money feels right, just like when things are packed tidy and tight. Get up.
She earned decent money for the time, and that kind of kept things going, and it allowed me a chance to finally catch up. But you may not be in that situation. So then what do you do? One last thing I want to impress upon you before I conclude this particular segment of the Gig Geezer. You come out here, as I mentioned, you don't see much going on. What happens a lot of times is that you start out your day, and all of a sudden you realize by 11 o'clock, at least half of your day is over. You start out your week on Monday thinking that you're gonna finally make it happen, and then you hit Wednesday afternoon, you realize a little over half your week is over. You realize that when you're in business for yourself, you're always having to look ahead. And so the thing that always kind of bummed me out or encouraged me was that by the time I reached the 10th of the month, I'm pretty much having to start thinking about the next month. And then there's you still have bills to be paid. And then this repeats the following month. So while it's easy to say that, again, you have to have something put aside, you may want to look towards having residual income. When you're starting out, that may not be the case. And so I'm not discouraging you. Again, I'm not discouraging you, but I'm also trying to get you to see some things that you may not see. And hopefully you may hopefully you may consider what I'm saying, so that you may not make some of the same mistakes that I made starting out. And so with that, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer, or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.
That's right, y'all. May your grind and may your hustle continue. See you next time.